Jared, and I'm with my buddy Greg.
Hello, everybody.
And tonight we have kind of a controversial subject I was alerted to in the news just the other day, and it was about the Los Angeles County. Let me see if I get this right because I'm trying to make sure I get this one right. It was the suit in 2011 by the ACLU Foundation of Southern California and Los Angeles and others, alleging that the VA was misused to campus while failing to care for veterans. But what I'm not understanding is why they did that when the land is right there next to it. It's right there on LUCLA.
Right. But where was it when they kicked everybody off?
Well, see that right there is the big deal because it was a 376 acre parcel of land,
Right.
and her last name is DeBaker, I think it is Debaker. It's DE space, and it got
Mm-hmm.
it's I think it's like French or something. I don't know. They always got D or me or la or fa or some shit in their names. Who
So
cares?
Latida, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. But so she was the actual biggest landowner in Los Angeles County, and in her passing, she left 376 acres to the federal government for state homes for veterans and healthcare, veteran healthcare. 376 acres. So, there's probably, she was thinking of veteran cemetery, VA,
Hospital,
hospital, stuff like that. And she
some
was,
housing, yeah.
yeah, state housing and stuff for veterans. Um, Even then, back in the day, veterans came back and they didn't have nowhere to go because most of them,
Mm-hmm.
they were young, and when they got back, maybe their parents passed or most of their family, their brothers, whatever, they went off and did what they had to do. They went to the war, and some of them didn't come
Mm-hmm.
back or whatnot. That's just what it was. But so she gave all that and wanted them to have somewhere they could live in the state home, and then
Mm-hmm.
health care and all that other shit. But so apparently in 1949, there was a state home that was already there on the premises, and they closed it. They dumped 4,000 veterans on the street. 4,000.
Mm-hmm.
So now in LA County, they're saying the homeless population of LA County is ridiculous, and it's like 6,000 people are veterans there
Mm-hmm.
that are homeless.
Mm-hmm.
Something crazy number like that. I was like, damn. But if as somebody started looking at the deeds and stuff like that, why the veterans are not getting taken care of and why the homeless population was there. Well, it turns out that they closed the state home and dumped all those people out, and now there's a baseball field and UCLA dorms or some kind of dorms or something on that premises,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a school. What was it, Brentwood? I think
Yeah,
it was
private
called.
school. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a private school, uh, Brentwood, and now they're trying to sign a new agreement on the land. Blah 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 blah. Blah. Yeah,
Well, yeah, it went from
it's been crazy. It went from a lawsuit to now they gave, like, in 2011, as did UCLA and Brentwood School National Friends, adding 50 million and 400 people to get veterans off the street. Oh, 400 people. That's great. That's not even 10%, hero. Get the fuck out of here.
well, and all 400 of those people are probably like GS-12s,
Yeah, probably.
you know.
And they can afford to send their kids to Brentwood. Where'd you go to school?
But you got to look at it. You
Brentwood.
got to
Like
look at it.
fucking the retards of the Harvard.
You got to look at it. That land went from being there for a non-profit reason to being a for-profit reason.
Yeah, because somebody in the VA illegally leased it. So now they're screwed, but the guy's probably dead and gone. And
Yeah,
where's the money and what the hell's going on?
right.
They probably had like some $1 million lease, or back in then, they probably had $100,000 lease, which was like $1 million,
Mm-hmm.
all that shit. What the hell are you doing? What you breaking? Are you breaking your watch?
No, I'm putting the bolt back in it. I took it off when it's got a clever a shackle on it.
Oh, okay. You got a shackle on his watch. I guess it got 4-wheel drive on the motherfucker too. I don't know.
Well,
I
in case
guess it
I get
gets
stuck in the
stuck.
mud.
Probably gets stuck up his ass,
Well,
especially when he pulls his head out of there. Ooh, boy.
yeah.
Elbow deep, bro,
Hey,
going in.
if it gets stuck up there, at least I'll know what time to stop and take a shit.
But
Uh,
no, it was one of those things that it was they're saying that they're going to try to help this and that, help that. Their dorms are already there. If
hmm
it's their land, then they deserve the land. That 376 acres is federal land. You
hmm
can't just say, "Oh, well, there's shit on it now, so sorry, it's ours." No, it goes back to the original lien holder, and that's everybody's fighting and
hmm
throwing a fit because it all belongs to the colleges and the dorms. Hey, good,
Yeah, but
leave
it's
them alone.
also
Get the kids out. Not our problem. Don't
you got
care. They're rich little snooty shits anyway, and the smart ones they don't go to UCLA.
right,
UCLA is a party school. You
but
go.
you're not going to be able to get a state home in there now for veterans, even if the land was clear, because that area is very affluent. You're not going to have a state home in the middle of a bunch of affluent. That'd be like us trying to put a state veterans home in Highland Park, dude. It ain't gonna happen.
I'm just saying they already got the damn dorms there. Leave it alone. Put them homeless vets in them damn dorms and let them go.
Well, true,
That would be common sense.
but the thing is, the dorms aren't equipped for them to live in because they're student dorms, so they don't have kitchens, they don't have none of that stuff. Most dorms is just a place to lay down, and it's got a communal bathroom.
That's fine too. They got a place off the street,
Oh, I agree.
and they have a communal somewhere to get the hell out the weather.
I agree. And
And
you can
and
you
then
can put up a
there's
chow hall.
probably a cafeteria there. You hire some
Yeah.
damn cafeteria workers. You go there and hey, cook them some food. There you go.
How about this? You hire some of the local veterans that have gone through a culinary program, put them to work cooking for those other veterans.
You can do that, or you could take the ones off the street. Hell, there's probably chefs out there,
I know.
cooks, chefs. But the problem is, it's like even with this issue in LA County, the guy there was a. Let me see if I get this right because I've got the story right here. I pulled it up the other day reading because it pissed me the fuck off. Um, so it was um Bronze Star for his Vietnam U.S. Defense description. Oh, this guy was falsely arrested by the VA police. I'll get back to that one.
But it kind of goes back to a lot of things, dude. Remember, you and I have talked
This is
about
it.
this before. I'm going to say a lot. All right. I won't say the majority. I won't say a bunch. I'm going to say a lot of veterans, especially those who served in time of war, those who went in when they were, World War II, Korea, that kind of thing, when they got drafted in Vietnam at 17 years old, they literally grew up with somebody telling them what their purpose was every day. And even vets our age, if they spent much time on active duty, they had somebody telling them what their purpose was every day. So they never learned to look for a purpose, right? Not everybody's equipped to go out and look for a purpose for their day. They get up thinking, I'm only worth something if somebody tells me what my purpose is, right? And especially these guys that, like I said, those Vietnam, Korea, World War II era guys. I mean, you're talking about guys that went in at 17, went to boot camp to the war, come home.
Greg, you're cutting out, bro. No, we're gonna do this.
People like my grandfather. My grandfather was a little older, but he was a survivor and he was on the hell ships and all kind. He. You talk about a man with no tolerance for anybody the rest of his life. He didn't have a tolerance for much of anybody the rest of his life, and he still had to go out and find a purpose and get to work. So my grandma didn't hit him over the head with a frying pan. But not everybody in this world is equipped to go out and find a purpose. Like you and me, you know, my wife will tell you I'm lazy, and I am, but I have to have a purpose. I have to have something to do every day. I have to have a reason to get out of bed, right? Well, if you don't have a family and you ain't got no kids, and you just get thrust from that world back into this world, you're like, well, nobody's telling me what my purpose is. I'll just roam around till somebody tells me what to do, you know? And yeah, we all got to grow up. We all got to figure it out. But some people are not equipped for that. And then you throw on top of that the problems that veterans deal with, you know, PTSD and other kinds of trauma. Now you got a person that doesn't know what their purpose in life is, but they know what their purpose ain't, right? It's kind of like I tell my kids, you know, if you come out of high school and you don't know what you're going to do with your life, 4, 5, 6 years in the military won't necessarily show you what you want to do, but it's probably going to show you what you don't want to do, right? But
You
then
sure will.
you come back out here, and all you know is what you don't want to do. Well, then what do you do? And that's why there needs to be that transition process. We have a transition process now, but the transition process is, hey, apply for these jobs. We hope you get hired, right? When you're getting off active duty, they're like, hey, we're going to counsel you, help you create a resume, hope you get an interview, right? And I've always said the transition from the military, because the government is guilty of waste, fraud, and abuse when it comes to veterans. You you have a bachelor's degree in what is it, medical office management or something like that,
Healthcare administration.
healthcare
Mel has one in
administration,
healthcare
right?
management.
Okay, so healthcare administration, and you were a medic. So when you came out of the military, the federal government on the civilian side should have been knocking on your door. Hey, dude, hey, can you come work over here for us and do what you know how to do now? But they don't do that. They're just like, hey, apply for these jobs, and then they put you in that hierarchy of, oh, was he an officer? Was he enlisted? Okay, is he black, white, green, yellow, purple, red? You're right. Is he missing one arm or 3 legs? Does he have 2 eyeballs and 1 ear? Or does he got all his hair? You know, they got all these things. And then when you apply for a federal job, you know, there's an old technique about embedding words in your resume, because they got a computer that looks for all the keywords, right? So you got to sneakily embed words in your resume, even the words that don't mean nothing, right? Just so it'll let them look at you. You're a veteran. You're coming out of the military. They have your whole job record. They ought to be reviewing it. It's just like when you're on active duty. Your commander doesn't just arbitrarily pick somebody for an important position, right? He reviews their performance, their promotions, their uh, academics, right? Their PT. He looks at all that before he comes and goes, "Hey, I want you to take over this," right? Unless it's burning the shit wagon, then it's just like, you know, you look okay, go burn the shit wagon, right? You're the lowest person here, go burn the shit wagon, okay? But
What I don't understand is why these veterans are in here talking about they're getting VA jobs and like medical technician. Like my platoon sergeant from Iraq and my medic unit, he's in Minnesota, Michigan. He's up north, I think, somewhere. And he's on with the VA, and now he's a case manager, I believe, or social manager,
mhm.
something like that. But what I don't understand is the VA is so damn short in people and training people.
But you can't get an interview.
But I put in for 4 years straight for just a basic medical technician job.
The job I had, and I loved my job with the VA. It was awesome. I just couldn't stay at the location they put me at because of the economy change up there, right? I mean, when I was working full time for the VA and full time for Walmart and living in my truck, that just didn't seem like a good deal for me, right? But the VA sent me up there. They trained me. They got me certified to be a telehealth technician. Texas was dying for telehealth technicians, and I apply down here, and they're like, "Oh, you can't be a telehealth technician because you're not an RN." Well,
Yep.
why does it need to be an RN?
Because I guess you got to know how to turn the computer on a special way down here. I don't know. That's
That's what I
retarded.
mean.
All you're doing is blood pressure, pulse. That's even when I was in the emergency room, they were like, medics should not be doing triage. They should not be doing blood pressure and pulses. I was like, I could understand the triage, but like I had babies with fever and stuff that was really,
Mhm.
hey man, I've got a kid over here that his area's hurting. We got to do this and that. Because you got risk for torsions, you got risk for hernias, and you
But
got
this is
life threatening or limb threatening injuries out here. You take it to the nurse and be like, hey man, this is what I got. This is what I'm kind of thinking this could be. You might want to let the doc know. He's like, go ahead and get him and put him in a room now. All right.
all right.
So
But
I
see,
wouldn't even leave him out in triage area. I'd just go ahead and put him in a room. But
but
some of the medics wouldn't. They just dropped the shit. They didn't know how to actually triage coming from a combat standpoint. You're seeing,
right,
you know, da 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 da
right.
da, da, and
But
I've
this,
actually
but the,
seen them miss triage people. It should have been urgent surgical, and he called it in as a priority. And I was like, what the fuck?
but this is what I'm talking about. There ought to be a direct transition from the military to the civilian government job to the VA, right? So when you're coming out of the military, the VA should have a list. We need 27 people in Utah for this job. They should have somebody reviewing everybody that has a related job to that getting out of the military that month. And they should be contacting them. Would you like to be transferred? And it should literally be a lateral transfer. Like if you were an E5, it should transition over to G whatever, done. And your years of service should count. So you'd be a GS5 step 2 or whatever, right?
Yeah, and then it becomes veterans taking care of veterans,
Right.
and it doesn't feel military. It feels more civilian, but it's actually you know you're
You're still
you
in your
understand
environment.
where they're coming from because you and
Right.
them have been there the same. And
Right.
then you've got civilian doctors, which I could understand, or the interns from LSU or residents or wherever Southwest I think is
Right.
in they do in Dallas, and then I know Shreveport does LSU, but there's usually a
Right.
student hospital
Well, and you and
around
and you can't
every damn VA book for that reason.
and you apply for jobs like at the VA that they turn you down. It doesn't make any sense. I applied for the job driving the shuttle around the parking lot because it makes more
Oh,
money.
I remember that
It,
because I was gonna apply that, and I
yeah,
was like, you know what, I am
it
not gonna be out asleep.
but it makes more money than my civilian job right now. And I have 10 years as a Navy CB, a heavy equipment operator with a license from everything to a soup spoon to a 50-ton crane. Then I went to the Army and, almost finished flight school, right?
Almost finished.
Almost finished, didn't quite finish, but I went to air assault and all that while I was there. Then I went to the Air Force where I was a cop. I drove, 2.5-ton trucks and Humvees and everything else, then with people in them. And then I went to the National Guard and the Army Reserve and did all those things. I was a scout. I drove Humvees. I went to the scout driver course, all this stuff. And they tell me I'm not qualified to drive the shuttle around the parking lot.
Yeah. We can take 5 tons of people in OIF-3 from Baghdad to Balad or Balad to
I
Bakuba
mean, I could understand it.
or wherever the hell we were going, full of people in the back with no armor
Right.
because back then, first of war, you didn't have all that armor. You were
Right.
riding around. If your Humvee had doors, you were fucking lucky, okay?
But,
Most of us took them off, and
right.
we had our little CD players up there, and we bought the expensive one because we were tired of the shocks. Because
But,
kids don't understand the shock program nowadays. Whew,
but
fuck MP3.
my thing with that is okay. If they would have said, "Hey, this job requires a commercial driver's license," okay, I don't have one. But the biggest shuttle vehicle they have is a 15 passenger van, which doesn't require a commercial license in Texas. It doesn't leave the parking lot. It doesn't go over 12 miles an hour. So explain that to me. They can't, and they don't have to. And I think that's On the federal side, I get it on the civilian side when somebody doesn't have to explain to you why you're not hired.
Yep.
You're froze, dude. Your video's froze.
Oh, damn it. Hold on.
But I think on the federal side, if you are not hired for a position, it's just like in the army. If you don't get a promotion, they tell you why you don't get the promotion, right?
Yeah, apparently my
Okay.
video's
But
messing up, but I can do it
yeah,
audio.
but so,
But that's fine.
so like when you go for promotion in the military, not just the army, any branch, if you don't get the promotion, they tell you what you were missing, right? Hey, you came in here and you were too stupid to answer our questions. You need to study more. Okay. Hey, you came in here and had on two left shoes. You need to work on that, right? But the federal government can just say, well, we decided not to hire you, and they don't have to tell you why. Well, how are you ever going to get the desired position that you're after if you don't know what you need to get the position?
Yeah.
Like if you look at it and it says you need a 1, 2, 3 ABC, and you're like, okay, I got 1, 2, 3 ABC, and they go, well, we're not even going to interview you. Well, could you explain to me why I'm not going to interview? No, we don't have to. And then you see things like this where they dump 4,000 veterans on the street back then, and then it just progresses over time. And
Yep.
because they didn't put another facility there, they don't have a way for these people to. I mean, think of it this way: when people come out of prison, where do they go? Most of the time, they go to a halfway house, right?
Yeah, most of
So
them.
they go to a halfway house, a transition program, where somebody puts them on a schedule and tells them this is how life has to live for you in order for it to work out. Well, think about somebody coming out of the military. It's kind of the same thing, dude. They're institutionalized. They know get up at 4, do PT at 5, wash my butt at 6, eat breakfast at 7, be in formation at 7:30, stand in the big square thing, sing kumbaya, and then march to where you got to go or disperse and go to your work center, right?
Yeah.
And you come out in the civilian world, hell, I can tell you right now, at my job, they don't know whether I'm at work or not half the time unless they look to see if I'm in the queue. And the only time they look to see if I'm in the queue is if they getting too many phone calls. But
Yeah,
I have the advantage of having spent most of my career on a reserve component, so I had to live in both worlds.
yeah. But it just, seeing this that they're giving away veteran land. We got
Mm-hmm.
off topic. You went down a fucking rabbit hole like a
I
bitch.
know, I did.
Uh, I'm okay with that. That needs to be talked about too.
But
With the
I agree
veterans, why
with you.
can't they just go get a damn job at the VA if they, you know,
Mm-hmm.
understand there ain't that many damn VA jobs, but there is people qualified. They should have at least first choice with the VA and then go to the civilian sector if they want.
Well, I mean, even
Like,
on the basis you know, they got contractors there mowing the lawn. Why don't you hire a bunch of veterans to mow the lawn?
hell yeah, you pay me, 40, 50,000 a year. I'll go mow the damn lawn.
Man, that'll be the most mowed grass you ever seen.
That's all I would do. I would just get on a zero turn and ride around all motherfucking day.
Yeah,
There would be the soldiers wouldn't even have to have one of those damn post cleanup days. That son of a bitch would stay spotless.
that's what I mean.
Shit.
They it's wasteful the way they use veterans, the way they discard veterans, right?
Well, it's just like I posted that video on my private Facebook where they were asking about the recruiting about after what are you doing to go after the 8,000 veterans that didn't take the vaccine that y'all kicked out?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, "Oh, nothing." He was like, "So we have 8,000 skilled, trained
Mm-hmm.
veterans," and he was like, "They can come back." It's not about them coming back. What are you doing to recruit
Yeah.
them? Nothing.
What are you doing? To,
Why not? They're fucking skilled. They're ready to come back.
well,
Fuck the vaccine. Get them back. Let's get them back to work and get them back to PT.
well, from a business standpoint, I would ask him what is the return on the investment? What is the return to the taxpayer on the investment they made in those people? by your action of putting them out of the military. So, what do you have to do in the military if you're the officer in charge and some shit turns up missing? Right? You either got to recoup it, you got to do a flipple on it, or it comes out of your pocket. You signed for it, and now it didn't work out. You better figure it out.
I don't know, man. It's like they're not using their damn heads because I guess it's not because it's going against their whole military thing, worrying about. Have you seen that new Navy recruiting video
Yeah,
with the transgender in it?
yeah.
What in the fuck are they thinking? You are thinking about more about gender equality and all that kind of shit, that fake woke shit, than you are about winning goddamn wars. Get your heads out your ass because they coming for us, and y'all are just sitting over there. I want to be a girl. I don't give a fuck what you want. Get out your damn feelings. Because when I I don't even know how to put this anymore because these kids are fixing to be woke up. These guys in the military, they've never been over there, but the old cats like me and some of the older guys. I've got a guy that he is the command sergeant major of Tripler, I want to say. Yeah, I think it's Tripler. He's in Hawaii, so I don't know if it's Tripler or if he's actually on a unit or whatever,
Mhm.
medical unit. But he was my team leader in Iraq, and that dude was squared the hell away. And I mean, I don't know how he's still in the military doing that shit because with all these new transgender issues and this and that and the other coming in, Paul's coming in. Cool.
Well,
But
that's what I mean. They're so busy worrying about all this feeling stuff, and they're not taking care of the stuff they're supposed to take care of. They're not using the money the way they're supposed to. They're doing things that don't make no sense for reasons that don't make no sense. I mean, just as an example, I saw a statement this week that said the Air Force is finally going to start getting rid of their A-10s because they don't think the A-10. There, some general doesn't think the A-10s scare the Chinese. If a A-10 don't scare you, there is something wrong with your head.
if you don't think that you on the ground with all his motherfucking troops that he gonna have on China's gonna have on the ground, you don't think that that's not scary with the A-10? Let me tell you something. That goddamn A-10 Warthog is a fucking monster. I remember being out at the range and hearing that bitch at night doing the little. They just come down on Fort Hood, just and
Yeah,
they, god damn, like you. I was like, how many shots was that? He's like, oh, probably about 10,000. I'm
yeah,
like, what?
yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, that's gonna be badass. So if you don't think the A10 Warthog is badass, just go ahead and just roll over and go fuck yourself because it's a monster. They were supposed to be updating the engine and a bunch of other shit on it too.
I think Paul's trying to mumble at us, but it's not mumbleizing.
Happy birthday, buddy!
Happy birthday.
I can't hear him.
I can't either.
His mute's probably on. I don't know. My shit's froze. His shit's not talking.
But
Oh, we cannot hear words you're saying,
we can't
buddy.
hear you, brother.
I don't know if you can hear us, but
But my point being, dude, is the best thing the government could do for the veterans is A, for the homeless veterans, we got to get them off the street. B,
yeah,
B, we have to develop a structure for them. And C, we've got to give them a purpose, right? So, you know, the British used to have a thing way back when. I don't know if they still do, but they actually used to have veteran units. So even though these people were no longer active military, they were still part of a military unit. And they would meet up from time to time. They would discuss their structure. They would, have a formation, whatever the hell they did. I don't know. But, why are we not keeping people active in that way, right? Because let's just be honest. They claim, at some point you fall off the recall list, but you know as well as I do, if the fecal matter impacts the rotary air mover, they gonna call who they need to call whenever they need to call them, and they don't care if you're 18 or 83. So wouldn't it make sense to keep these people? I mean, look at prime example on active duty military, E8 and up on the enlisted side. Half of them, probably half, I don't know, some big number, don't live more than 4 years after they retire. And you guys are bobbing up and down the screen, and I ain't hearing nothing.
Sorry, bud.
Your videos froze. Paul's videos froze. He looked like a damn deer in the headlights.
Yeah, I took Paul
Oh,
off the stream
okay.
because he's having mic issues and all kinds of stuff, and his camera's frozen. Once it gets back, it'll be all right.
But I heard a blue. There he is. Say something.
Still can't hear you.
Hold on.
Uh,
Can you hear him now?
now I can hear him.
Say something, Paul.
I'm just messing with you.
Oh, there you go.
Ha ha! Happy birthday, you old fucker.
Thank you.
It's just like another day, bro.
Yep.
But what I was getting at is going back to giving people a purpose. You know, like these homeless vets. Let's get them organized. Let's, talk to them like soldiers. I mean, I used to do that when I worked in the jail. You know, I'd have vets that come in there, and I had one young vet that would come in like every 2 weeks. Man, dude was missing a leg. He'd be up in there in jail for a week. I'm like, why are you here? Of course, his thing was, well, I'm 100% disabled. I live in my trailer with my wife and my girlfriend, and they get in a fight every Friday when they get drunk, and I try to break it up, and I end up in jail. And my advice was either pick one or pick none, and go do something constructive with your life. He was only like 28 years old, 100% disabled at 28 years old. Take that money, go back to school, start yourself a business where you can sit at home and other people can do the work. But you have something.
Yeah. Get you a damn Amazon store or something.
So you have something to do. But my thing is with all these homeless vets, let's go out there and find the homeless vets. Let's put them, basically make a unit. Hey, Unit X, you're homeless, right? But we're going to give you a purpose. So now we can get you somewhere. If the purpose is, hey, Unit X of homeless veterans, y'all have downtown. We want you to pick up all the trash in downtown. And for that, we go out and we talk to the city. Hey, can the city subsidize this? Can you pay each one of these guys $100 a month on top of what they get from the VA? Boom. Now they got a little extra money coming in. Now we can try to help them find housing. We can, get some groups together I got a buddy that lives down in Killeen. He retired from the military, and he's always been single, and he was so used to living with other people. He lives in a house with 4 other veterans because he don't know how to live by himself. So start finding some of these quad units like down there off of Greenville Avenue. Get the VA involved. Put 4. Each one of those quads is like a 3-bedroom. Put 3 vets in there with a communal living area, bathroom, and kitchen. Now you got 12 veterans.
Actually, a apartment building for sale. It was only like 300 and something thousand, and it wasn't like the nicest apartments in the world, and it wasn't in the nicest place in the world, but it would have got people off the street. You could have, it came with a bunch of land, so you could have built on,
or
you could have had like a little office for social work or whatever for them coming in and out, had the DART bus right there and everything, get them to work.
But even like in downtown Dallas, right? There's lots of empty warehouses. VA can get involved with the city, subsidize it, buy a big warehouse, have those homeless veterans come in and build the inside. So they're invested in it. So they're not going to tear it up, right? Have rules for them to live there. Set up a structure. Hey, look, you can be homeless. You can live here for X amount of time, and we're going to help you with a purpose. You're going to be put into a work section. You're going to have another homeless vet who's been here a while, worked his way up. He's going to be your supervisor. Your job is to keep downtown Dallas clean, pick up all the trash, bag it up, put it in a certain spot to be collected. Other vets are going to come by, collect it, and put it somewhere so the city workers can take it to the dump. And then you're all going to meet back here at 6 o'clock every afternoon. We're going to sit down and talk about how our day went. We're going to have your therapy services here. We're going to have your religious services here. We're going to have a chow hall here so you can come in and eat
Yep.
in a way you're accustomed to eating instead of eating out of the fucking trash cans. And you'll be able to take all the money that the VA gives you, and we're going to help you learn to put it in the bank, help you learn to buy a car, buy a motorcycle, buy a bicycle, buy a skateboard, something to get around on. We're going to work with these people here in town. There's a group here in town that gives veterans, I think, and other folks that are homeless, a business suit, like a full business suit, and they retailer it for them. They're all used suits, and then they help them do a resume so they can help them do mock interviews so they can learn to go out and get a job, right? So they can take their skills, because part of dealing with the things that people deal with, PTSD and loss of purpose, is they got to find a new purpose. And you and me and Paul and Barry, we've all found a purpose. I consider myself lucky, having spent so much time in the reserve component. I had to live in both worlds, but I can't imagine if I would have spent 30 years on active duty. I wouldn't know what to do out here. I mean, I was on active duty at Fort Hood for 3 years, and when I came home, I was like, "What the hell?" The best job I could find was $11 an hour. I went from being an E6 running an operations office, because we didn't have an officer. I was running a battalion's operations office, making $52,000 a year on active duty. All of a sudden, I come in the civilian world, and they're like, "We love our vets. Here's $11 an hour. Unload that truck."
I remember
Oh, yeah.
transitioning back over, and the hardest part, and I was only in for 4 years, but the transition was hard as hell. Yeah, I couldn't imagine being in 20, 30 years and then going over to the civilian side after putting in all that effort. And I'd be pissed off and probably not want to do anything, to be
Well,
honest.
yeah. I mean,
The big thing is though is it's kind of depressing though, because you see people that you're coming out of the military, and instead of going to college, you decided that you were going to serve your country. You could have went to community college. You could have been working, doing whatever, making decent money, making pretty damn good money sometimes. Uh, and then all of a sudden, you come out of the military, you see your buddy over there. He got a 4-year degree, and he's done off doing whatever the hell he's doing, making a damn good paying job. And they're like, "Hey man, you want to come work for me for $10 an hour?"
mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, okay, that's all I could find. Hell, Walmart wouldn't even hire us. Like coming out '09, before all that hire hero shit and veteran hire and
Well,
military hire.
everybody's yeah,
Before that, it was just okay, whatever.
yeah, everybody.
Just
But you think about it, dude. Like, so again, I consider myself lucky that I stayed as long as I did and spent so much time in a reserve component. But when I first started out in the military in the Navy Reserve, reservists didn't even get insurance. If you wanted to take care of yourself, you had to go get insurance on your own out of your own pocket. You didn't get TRICARE Reserve Select that you could pay for at a reasonable price out of your drill pay. That didn't come on till I'd been in shit 12, 14 years. I didn't even get a GI Bill when I came in the first time, right? They just weren't offering anything. And then I watched it progress to where, reservists got in on TRICARE and all that kind of stuff, which helped a lot for people. And then your active duty guys, they come off. Well, what do they do? If they're not retiring or medically retired, they don't get TRICARE for life. Then they got to come out here, and all of a sudden they got to pay $600, $700 a month for health insurance, and then every time they go to the doctor, they got to pay $200, and they don't understand, because especially if you were young, if you were like 17 and went straight into active duty and didn't come out till you were 25 or 30, the world is a confusing place, and you're not equipped for it.
yeah. I mean, even before I got out, though, I mean, I kind of had a plan. I mean, hell, I had people calling me for job interviews before I got out, but it was all corrections and but I got out in '09. So in '08, '09, they still had the Fannie Mae, the collapse of the economy, all that. And when I got into corrections, I mean, hell, we were having 30, 40 people a class, which was record number classes
Yeah.
because everybody was losing their job in the oil field in East Texas.
Right.
Well, oil field picked back up, then you might have 1, 2 people, 3 people in the class and everything. So I mean, hell, when I left the state jail I was at, there was only 2, 3 left from my class after 3.5 years. And then I left that, and then when I went to the sheriff's office, hell, 2 or 3 of them came over afterwards.
Mhm.
So I was like, damn.
Well, I mean,
But
but
I just
there's things here in our home state in Texas that veterans should be working at more so than civilians, and a lot of veterans work there, like the Texas Truck Project over in Saginaw. That's a deal where the state of Texas buys the broken down trucks from the military, the Humvees, the Deuce and a Halves, the new trucks, the old trucks, whatever. They take them over there to Saginaw and they tear them completely apart and they harvest
and they
them
refit
and
them.
they refit them and then they sell them either back to the military or they sell them to other states or they sell them to our allies down south or whatever. And that's how Texas makes money off the deal.
The cartel?
That too, probably. But
You said allies down south. I
yeah,
mean,
but
shit. That's
But my point being is
pretty much the way it is
there's
right
so
now in
many
this damn
things there.
administration.
Like I don't, Paul, you weren't on earlier, but my point was when people come out of the military, the transition from the military to a federal government job should be literally a lateral transfer. Hey, your time in the army is up, but you're a personnel specialist. There are 27 spots open for personnel specialists with the VA in Utah. Would you like one of those? That's what the question should be. Because
Yeah,
you're already
that,
trained.
absolutely.
You're. I
And that's
mean,
what we were talking about because they're hiring more people outside,
right?
and you go in there, you tell them, hey, I fell off of a MRAP and this and that and this, and they're like, what the fuck is an MRAP?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, even like when Greg in the Navy, when I have somebody that was talking about stuff in the Navy, I don't know shit about no damn boats. Except the motherfucker floats, it's got an engine, and I like to fish. Okay, that's about it. So with him, I asked him, to take some of the Navy vet questions because some of the equipment he tells me about, I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Josh too. Josh is bad about it also. Our other buddy,
I don't know shit
he's
as
real
well,
bad,
and I should,
but he didn't.
Hey,
but I don't.
think about it like this. When I got to my first reserve unit in the Navy as a CB, as a heavy equipment operator, they assigned me a truck. That was my truck. It was a Deuce and a Half. When you open the door on it, now mind you, this was 1986 when I got to that unit. You open the door and look at the data plate. The truck was built in the truck was built in 1947, and I was still operating it in 1986.
And now it's probably in the Marine Corps somewhere.
Probably yes. It's probably shifted down to the Marine Reserve.
The Marine Corps gets shit that doesn't even, like they just sent all those damn Abrams. I said Shermans on the last podcast. I had to watch myself, not Sherman. Abrams over to Ukraine.
Yep.
Now, the ones I see rolling off there are pretty goddamn good looking.
Yeah,
I mean, I was like, I ain't never seen that some bitch just rolled off the utility. There is not even no damn black on the back of the turbine engine rack. You have never been to the field with that. Either it's just been repainted and refit, or it's brand new.
Well, that's
Because
that
I
kind of
know, hell,
goes
the
back to
Marines.
that kind of goes back to that old question. Like you're giving somebody equipment, right? So they take the time to refit it, tune it up, make it nice, and give it to them so they can take it to war. it kind of like when you worked in the state jail, or state prison system. Why does somebody have to be
You
healthy
haven't
on?
seen some of the things that I've seen come into the armory
Right.
from the Army to the Marines.
Oh, I understand, but my point is, my point
There
being,
ain't shit in them rifles.
my point being, if you're giving somebody a piece of equipment, yeah, you hope it runs well for them and all that, but it's kind of like I always used to wonder, why does somebody have to be healthy on death row?
I don't understand that either. You gonna die.
Yeah, like we got to give him brain surgery,
But, I
keep him
mean,
alive, and make him
there
healthy.
is one. There is one that there was a guy doing a podcast. It was here in Texas. He was doing a podcast and he was following the evidence, the chain of evidence, and everything. And it come to find out that he didn't do it. He's been in prison for almost 20 something years, and he took it to the thing, and they did a stop of execution on him, and come to find out it wasn't him. It was like the uncle and the cousin or
Right.
brother-in-law or something like that killed the girl, and they blamed it on him. And I was like, well, that's the justice system.
Yeah.
Just that's what you get for having a court appointed a lawyer. And them lawyers don't give a shit.
No.
I know better.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh yeah, they do. No, dude, them dudes get like $200 a case, and they get like 600 cases. Do you think they give a fuck about all 600 of those people?
But think about
Hell no.
this. In 1991, right? In 1991, the state of Texas was spending $150,000 a year to house, feed, and clothe and care for a healthy general population inmate. They weren't spending that much on a child from kindergarten to high school, and they sure as hell weren't spending that much to take care of their veterans. Yeah, you get paid.
I don't understand how inmates have better fucking. They got better medical because they say, "Hey, my butthole hurts or anything hurts. Here we go to medical."
Yep.
And then they got help. They sit in a cell with a TV. If it was me, they wouldn't have no damn TV. But it's not constitutional.
Again.
Oh yeah,
Again.
I took it all the way up to the Supreme Court. It's unconstitutional. So I would give them one channel. I would give them the damn time channel that just flashes the time.
I'd make them watch C-SPAN.
Do that. Does that mean they got access to the outside world? I don't want them to have access to the outside
No, C-SPAN. All you do on C-SPAN is watch Congress. That's all it is. You just watch Congress all day.
That motherfuckers come out being lawyers and shit. Well, they're more like liars. Yeah. So yeah, okay. Yeah. Congress. This Congress, they come out looking retarded and shit.
Again, most people that end up in prison never had a lot of structure in their life.
No, I agree with
so why are we putting our veterans at risk for that? It's just like there was a guy on the radio today, and I'm sure I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but they were talking on the radio today. There was some guy on there, he's running for some political office or whatever, and he's a trans whatever. I don't know if he transitioned from man to woman, woman to man, human to donkey, whatever, it doesn't matter. But he got on there and it was saying that over 50% of the trans people in America contemplated unaliving themselves last year, as he put it. Unaliving themselves.
Yeah, you have to put it. You can't say that word on here because then But yes,
you can say it about veterans.
Yes.
The veterans suicide rate is through the roof. Still.
Yeah. They were saying 22 a day. Then they said, "Oh, it lowered." I was like, "No, it didn't." No, what they did is they didn't take in National Guard, reservists. All they did, they didn't take in any active duty numbers. But all they did was people that were out. They didn't do hospitals. They didn't do all that. No, all they did was just people that were out and that happened to off themselves.
These are the same people who do the gun crime numbers, and they call self-inflicted gun wound a gun crime.
Well, it is.
Well, it's only a gun crime in the fact that if you attempt to unalive yourself and you are unsuccessful, it's a crime.
Yeah, you're gonna charge me and lock me up for something that I already want to do. Oh, everybody just froze.
You know, I really
just
want to
froze.
weigh in on this, but I think I just honestly need to shut my mouth because I'm going to end up getting us in trouble.
Kicked out.
Well,
Yeah, I've pretty much been around it so much that it's all the way around. It's just coming down to it. These kids now, they don't understand what's fixing to happen to them because I'm watching now. They're fixing to try. They're trying to ban the damn assault rifles, which none of them can tell you what an assault rifle was. And then they tried to saw a video. They were talking about M1 Grants and M1 carbines are not going to be banned.
Right.
And I was like,
well, because their
and
argument
I
was
was like, they told me it was all clunky and junk and old shit. And I was like,
their argument was the M1 Garand is less lethal than the AR-15.
no, it was that they were old and
They actually made that
and
statement.
cheap
I watched the
weapons
video.
that they were clunky and not. You're right, not as lethal as
Yeah.
the new weapons.
So
I was like,
so you're telling me a 30-06 is less lethal than a 223?
but they're, dude, it's not about a 30-06 and a 223.
Oh, I know.
It's about government control and tyranny. They tried the same shit in
I
Germany
know.
in 1930, actually 32 or 33. They did the gun ban because Hitler was
Yeah.
chancellor in 30 or 31, I believe it was.
Hey, brother.
And it wasn't a few years after they de-armed everybody.
Hey, brother. We've been at this almost 52 minutes. I got to get off because I'm about to burn my dinner.
Well, you go burn dinner, and I am fixing to get off because it's almost game time, and I'm gonna smoke.
Okay.
And Paul needs to go get him some rest because it's his birthday, and Mama Tom needs to come
Yep,
too.
yep.
Yeah, that
All
ain't happening.
I'll see
It's
y'all
going to be
later.
a happy birthday. I'm enjoying it by myself.
Yep, pretty much. But yeah, brother, I'm fixing to get my ass off here. I was gonna talk about some other stuff, but he went down a rabbit hole, so I'll talk about it next time. I'll send you a link, Paul, and get it to you
Cool.
because I'm looking at the police code of conduct for the VA, and I'm finding some shit that you are going to be surprised. But we were talking about earlier, if you'll watch the video, about the LA VA and how they have illegally leased the land to UCLA and Brentwood School, and now UCLA and Brentwood School suing and throwing a fit because it was illegal lease, and now because everybody, the VA wants it back, needs it, they need it back.
Yeah. Send that link, man. I'll definitely check it out. I'll rewatch here in a bit.
All right, brother. Well, y'all have a good night. Happy birthday again. I'm out. I'm gonna go play some games.
By God. We'll see you, buddy.